Every now and then I stumble across a topic that
Mm-hmm.
just pulls me in. And this time,
Yeah.
it's all about auction house managers.
Oh, wow.
I've
That's
been
interesting.
I've been poring over these sources you sent,
Whoa.
and let me tell you, after this deep dive,
Okay.
I am seeing those gavels in a whole new light.
It's more than just the gavel, right?
Right.
I think it's easy to get really caught up in the thrill of the auction itself,
Oh, yeah.
but there's so much expertise
Mhm.
behind the scenes that makes it all happen.
Okay, so let's unpack this a little.
Oh.
You sent over some fascinating stuff, by the way.
Yeah.
Articles, reports. We're talking actual job market trends,
Mhm. I
insights
got it.
from industry veterans, even a breakdown
That's
of the
super good.
skills needed to succeed in this field.
Yeah.
What's our mission today? What are we hoping to accomplish
Oh.
in this deep dive?
I think, simply put, we're going beyond the velvet ropes.
Okay. Yeah.
We're going to really uncover what an auction house manager actually does every day.
Oh.
What are some of the challenges they face? And really, what does it take to thrive
Mm-hmm.
in this line of work? Because it's a very unique field.
Yeah, and demanding, it sounds like,
Very demand.
from the research I've done.
Yes.
So it's like that classic iceberg analogy, right?
Yes.
The auction itself
Right.
is just the very tip. All those
Exactly.
glamorous bidders,
Mhm.
the tension in the air, the hammer falling,
Yeah.
on a life-changing bid.
Yep.
But what's going on beneath the surface?
So much. Imagine, if you will, all of this behind-the-scenes hustle that's meticulously organized. You have teams of specialists authenticating items,
Wow.
others crafting marketing campaigns, and then you have this auction house manager who's orchestrating it all.
Orchestrating, that's a good word for it.
Yes.
From the research that you shared, it sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
The job description could be a mile long.
It is.
We're talking about
Yes.
managing staff, overseeing the finances,
Mm,
ensuring legal compliance.
of course.
It's a business, after all.
Absolutely. And while there's that undeniable allure
Mm.
of, handling rare artifacts and priceless art,
Oh, for sure.
the reality is it's also about navigating tight deadlines,
Yeah.
sometimes dealing with, difficult clients,
Right.
and of course this constantly evolving marketplace.
Yeah, and I imagine that's got to be tough because, we hear about these high-profile auction mishaps
Oh, yes.
every now and then.
It happens.
And I would think that would be,
An auction house manager's worst nightmare.
yeah, exactly. Okay, so maybe not all glitz and glamour.
Right. It's the
There
art.
must be some major perks to this job. I mean,
Oh, absolutely.
imagine the stories,
You know,
the connections, right?
the stories you hear, the people you meet.
It's not your average 9 to 5.
No, not at all.
Right.
The sources all highlight that. A huge draw for a lot of auction house managers is the opportunity to immerse themselves in this world of unique objects and
Yeah.
passionate collectors.
That's got to be fascinating, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Just to be around all this.
It's a career that blends business acumen with a deep appreciation for art and history,
Right.
whatever your specialty is.
Yeah, whatever calls you. Okay, so we've established that it takes a really special kind of person to thrive in this role. But what exactly does that look like?
Mm-hmm.
The research you sent over had this fascinating breakdown of all the skills needed, and some of these numbers
Right.
really jumped out at me.
Oh, absolutely.
When we think auction house manager,
Right.
we think, oh, you must have such a good eye for art.
Mm-hmm.
They must have this incredible knowledge of antiques.
Right.
But it's so much more than that.
It is.
You need like a
Yeah.
crazy, multifaceted
a lot of skills.
skill set
Yeah.
to really succeed.
Yeah.
For example,
Mm.
the data said 68%
Ah.
of an auction house manager's role
Yeah.
revolves around managing
Mhm.
and motivating their team.
That's huge.
That's huge, right?
It is.
68,
That's more than half of
Yeah.
what they do.
which makes sense when you think about it.
Right,
Because you
yeah.
could have
You could have the most amazing
the most incredible
items.
up for auction,
Mm.
but if you don't have a team
If you don't have the team behind you
to make it happen,
to support it,
yeah, those
that's a
gavels
ton of work.
aren't going to be banging as loudly,
You got it.
right?
You need a good team.
Yeah.
And what I find interesting about that, too, is it's not just about managing the team, it's managing upwards, too.
Oh, interesting.
You're dealing with these high-profile clients
right.
a lot of times, big personalities,
Oh, I bet.
even bigger expectations.
We can imagine.
Keeping those relationships running smoothly
Right.
can be a job in and of itself.
Especially when emotions are running high at an auction, I imagine.
Oh, absolutely.
You need Like
Patience of
the
it.
patience of a saint
Yes.
and the diplomacy skills of it. Like
You got to be a
a
diplomat.
seasoned ambassador.
You got it. Right.
For sure.
But let's not forget the other critical component here, which is
sales and marketing.
sales and marketing.
Yeah.
A huge, huge part.
88%?
88% of the job
The research said.
is understanding how to promote
Wow.
and sell effectively
That's why.
in a very competitive market.
88%.
Yeah, it's huge.
So it's not enough to just appreciate these items.
No.
You need to understand
You need to understand how to sell them
how to make them desirable to the right buyer
to the right buyer at the right price.
at the right price.
You know, one of the industry experts that we read about described it as spinning a narrative around each piece.
Okay.
So it's like,
So storytelling.
it's storytelling. You're crafting a story that's going to resonate with potential bidders.
Right. Highlighting the history.
Highlighting the history, the craftsmanship, the investment value.
Right.
All of that good stuff.
Because it's more than just an object at that point.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
It's like you're selling
It's an experience.
a piece of history.
It's a lifestyle.
A dream.
There you go.
Yeah, and speaking of experience, I was fascinated by
Yeah.
the financial aspect of this role as well.
Right.
The research mentioned that 52% of it involves managing budgets, tracking revenue,
Right. Yeah.
all that fun financial stuff.
Which is why you need that business acumen
Yeah.
that we talked about. Because as much as we might think of auction houses as this very creative world,
Right.
they are a business
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day.
And make money.
They need to make money to survive.
Exactly.
So an auction house manager needs to be comfortable with financial statements, market trends, all of it.
It's about finding that balance, isn't it?
It is.
Balancing that creative side,
Yes.
the passion for these objects, the thrill of the
The
auction,
thrill of the deal.
with the more strategic, business-minded approach.
Yeah, it's a balance.
Yeah.
It's a real balancing act.
And let's not forget that
And we can't forget.
interpersonal aspect that we touched on earlier.
So important.
Building, maintaining relationships accounts for, what was it, 77%
77%
of an auction house manager's time.
of their time, which is a lot.
That's huge.
It is a lot.
It's because it's not just about spreadsheets and auction catalogs. No, it's about people.
You're dealing with a whole ecosystem
Exactly.
of people here.
It's all about the people.
You've got consignors who are trusting you
Trusting you with their prized possessions.
with these sometimes priceless objects.
Absolutely.
You've got appraisers
You're not crazy.
who are determining their worth.
Making sure everything's legitimate.
Exactly. And then, of course, you have those eager bidders
Yes.
all vying for
Sometimes hundreds of them.
a piece of the action.
All in one room.
Yeah.
On the phone. Online.
So you got to be able to manage all of those personalities and those relationships.
Yeah, and that's
With
where
strong communication.
communication skills
Communication is key.
come into play, right?
Absolutely.
And that alone accounts for 63% of the role.
63%, that's a lot.
That's huge.
Yeah, that's the majority.
So you could be
You got to be a people person in this job.
right,
Really do.
calming the nerves of a first-time seller or mediating a bidding war
Oh, I bet those are interesting.
between two very determined collectors.
Stressful, but interesting.
Right.
Yes.
You need to
You
be
got to be able to talk to people.
a master communicator
Absolutely.
and a skilled negotiator.
That's the key to this job.
So we've got this incredible blend of leadership skills,
Right.
marketing savvy,
Yes.
financial know-how,
That's a lot.
and like the ability to charm a room full of art collectors.
Yeah, you got to be charming.
Right. Anything else these auction house managers need?
Right.
Because it seems like we're living in a world
Yeah.
where technology is changing everything.
Right.
And I can't imagine
Yeah, and
the art world is immune to that.
it's really changing the landscape of the auction world.
So how is it changing? What does that look like? We talking like robots? We wield the gavel now?
Not yet, but
Really?
I'm sure somebody's working on that.
Okay.
But online auction platforms and mobile bidding apps
Right.
are more and more important.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And auction house managers really need to be comfortable in these digital spaces.
Yeah, because it's not just about arranging items
No.
beautifully in the physical space anymore.
Right.
You need to know how to showcase them digitally.
Exactly. You've got to reach
Reach a global audience.
a global.
Manage online bidding, all of that.
It's a whole other set of challenges.
Oh, I bet.
You know, one of the sources that you sent mentioned a browser plugin called RoleCatcher, Capture,
Oh, okay.
that's designed for auction house managers.
Wow.
And it helps them manage all of the online job postings from different websites,
Oh, that's interesting.
which I thought was really fascinating.
Yeah, so even like
Even behind the scenes.
behind the scenes stuff is going digital.
All going digital.
And speaking of reaching a global audience, we can't forget about social media.
Huge.
Social media is huge.
Because these platforms are basically made
They're made for
this, for showing these beautiful objects.
Absolutely.
And drumming up excitement for an auction.
Especially for those live auctions.
Yeah.
You know, they're promoting it on social media. LinkedIn in particular was really highlighted in the research as a really important tool
Makes sense.
for auction house managers.
Yeah.
Because they can connect with each other.
Yeah.
They can connect with potential clients.
Right.
All on that platform.
It's all about networking, isn't it?
It really is.
It's all about who you know.
Yeah.
So it sounds like to be a successful auction house manager these days, you need to be as comfortable online. You got to have your finger on the pulse.
As you are.
Offline.
Of technology.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And speaking of the future.
Yes.
The job outlook for this career seems...
Yeah, it's competitive.
Very strong, right?
But it's a good career.
Yeah?
It's a growing career.
Didn't one of these reports say something like...
Yeah, 4% projected growth.
4% growth over the next decade.
In the next decade, which is good.
Which is really good.
Yeah, not a lot of careers. Oh, can say that right now.
Right, exactly.
Especially in this economy.
So for our listener out there who is like, okay, I'm intrigued. This sounds kind of amazing.
Yeah.
What does the path look like?
Well,
like, how do we even get started?
Well, first of all, I would say you need a really solid educational foundation.
So a bachelor's degree is pretty standard.
Okay. In what, like?
So that could be in business, finance, art history, museum studies.
Right, because you need that mix.
You need that mix of the art and the business.
Right.
But beyond the degree, you need experience.
Okay, so internships?
Internships are great.
Okay.
Volunteer positions at auction houses, art galleries, anything you can do to get your foot in the door.
Right, just to kind of like get your foot in the door.
For network.
And those professional organizations that we talked about
very important
are really good resources for that, I imagine.
Oh, they're essential.
Okay.
Join those organizations, go to the events, and meet people.
Right. Make those connections.
It's all about connections.
And I think you mentioned this earlier, but finding your niche.
Find your niche.
In the auction world.
Because the auction world is vast.
It's huge.
You've got everything from, antique furniture to rare books to contemporary art.
Right, so find the thing.
Find the thing you're passionate about.
That you're passionate about.
Become an expert in that.
Right.
And you'll be very valuable.
Yeah, find that specialty.
Exactly.
So to wrap things up for our listener today.
Yes.
It seems like we've uncovered this career path that's just as dynamic
absolutely.
and multifaceted.
It's so interesting.
As the objects that cross those auction blocks.
We said it.
Right.
You got it.
It's demanding. It's competitive.
It's fast-paced.
It's constantly evolving.
But it's rewarding.
But for the right person.
For the right person.
It can be so rewarding.
Yeah, if you love art and history.
Right. And you have a head for business.
And you like making deals.
Yeah.
It's a great field to be in.
It sounds like a fascinating career.
Yeah, it really is.